Alright, testing. Okay, Chapter 5 Offshore Depot Discharge Systems. Alright, Chapter 5 Offshore Petroleum Discharge System Section. Offshore Petroleum Discharge System Tankers Responsibility. The Offshore Petroleum Discharge System was designed by and U.S. Navy for use for the Army of the Marine Corps for the Inland Petroleum Distribution System. Runs over the Southwest Asia Petroleum Distribution Operation Project. The Offshore Petroleum Discharge Systems is stored with the board on selected RRF tankers. It is transported with theater operation by tanker of the U.S. Navy, the responsible for the operation of the Offshore Petroleum Discharge System and a ship-to-shore pipeline with a high water mark. The Offshore Petroleum Discharge System provides 1.2 million gallons per 20-hour day and refined petroleum to the beach from the tank is moored 4 miles offshore of the petroleum product delivered from the offshore of the tank of the ports to the onshore of the airports or terminal facilities. Damage inadequate with the non-existent of the tank of the man of the civil emergency crew. The crew is trained with the operator to deploy and recovery of the offshore petroleum discharges for the military personnel plan with the direct control of the offshore petroleum discharge system. Operation of the Operation Petroleum Discharge System. The tanker must be able to begin with the pumping of the fuel with the 48 hours after the arrival of the required with the permanent ESPM. Operating with the 7th day with the after the tanker arrival. The objective of the Offshore Petroleum Discharge System will also provide fuel when the aircraft operating with the field site, and the objective of the table 5-1 with the current commercial offshore petroleum discharge special tanker with the MSC inventory with their statistics. Table 5-2 show the maximum working condition of the offshore petroleum discharge systems. You have your SS Potomac, American Osprey, Chesapeake, St. Petersburg, and Mount Washington. Length, beams, draft, long tongues, and fuel capacities. Table 5-2 maximum condition offshore petroleum discharge lines. Installation Solomon, maximum current wind knots and waves. Offshore petroleum discharge tanker site survey of the person prior to position offshore petroleum discharge system tank of the site survey that must be contained with the general requirements for the tanker site over the water of the depth of 15 feet. More of the full load of the draft of the tanker with the permit large launching the SOM with no obstruction for the air with the will engaged for the tanker during the morning maneuver the 4-point monitoring site with the more than 24,000 feet with the PTU site. Tanker mooring site with a beach check with a general rectangular about with a 2,000 3,000 feet, 2,000 by 3,000 feet with the corners which will be occupied with the tanker anchor with the resupply with the offshore petroleum discharge system. Tanker with the maybe the need with the offshore petroleum discharge system. Tanker with the docking specific location longer with the expected due with the amount of the fuel supply of need with the undeveloped theater operation depending on the water depth of the prevailing current of the judgment of the tank commander with the resupply with the offshore petroleum discharge tanker that can be reassembled. Resupply within one of 3 ways. A resupply following on tanker of the way more with the offshore petroleum discharge system. Tanker of the offshore petroleum discharge SPM. Tanker may leave with the morning of the ducting underway light. Transfer of the fuel with the flow on with the tanker appropriation location. Officer Operation Petroleum Discharge System. Tanker can leave the offshore petroleum discharge system SPM for the another loading port. Offshore Petroleum Discharge System description. Offshore Petroleum Discharge System designed to be installed with carried operating area with a mid-sized tanker. The tanker will be manned with a civilian merchant crew. Crew will be trained to operate and deploy with the retrieve of the Offshore Petroleum Discharge System. Other trained operational petroleum discharge system personnel made direct for the assist with the tanker operation arm of the Navy. The personnel with the train installed with the component with the deploy from the tanker. Operation Petroleum Discharge System consists of 5 principal subsystems that are stated below. Commercial tanker with a continuity with a hoe with a handling equipment. The commercial continuity serve the system with a 4 nautical mile with a flexible elastometric area and steel force. Float sink with a continuity on high, large storage, real SOM converted with the SLWTs, BTUs. Section 2 major component of the offshore petroleum discharge system tanker. Alright, single anchoring leg mooring. Single anchoring leg mooring is large steel with a comparted barger. Figure 5-1 could be carried with a deployment of the site with large tanker skid mark with a large single anchor large mooring. Can be towed if needed like into the commercial counterpart to provide with the SPM for the offshore petroleum discharge tank with the permit with the tank of the weather vane around the mooring buoy. Continuing to pump the hard piping on the mooring bay for the task for the hose provide with the qualities and capabilities to pump the 2 products with the simultaneous for the dual product swivel of the tanker to the beach with the 7 days with the driver of the SLWT assistance of the small single anchor leg mooring can be installed to provide uninterrupted all-weather productive delivery. Single anchor leg mooring permits a tanker retaining a station with a pump in a much higher sea state. Another ship is possible in a spread more. Figure 5.2, page 5, show the 48 hours, 7-day offshore petroleum discharge system configuration. Some characteristics of the single anchoring leg mooring. Single anchoring leg mooring base dimensions are lengths of 150 long, beams 57 feet, depth of 12 feet, with a dry weight of 839 short tongues to all buoys, hose, and anchor chains on a board. A series hull with a ballast tank connected by the internal external piping, all allowing fluid owing over the base under the clove for the control of the water depth of 35 feet to 200 feet. Practical operation restricted the depth of 190 feet from the naval support diver to 2 mooring buoys. A shallow water auxiliary buoy with larger depth deeper water provided. The one usually depends on the water depth of the main buoy. Weighs 55 short tons. Auxiliary buoy weighs 65.5 tons. System is being recovered. The crane reload for the buoys for the single anchor leg mooring base. The mooring hawser and 2-section chain attached to the stove of the anchor's full sickle hold the hawsers installed with the system. Single anchor leg mooring. Alright, stern bumper, anchor chain, auxiliary buoy, product line, pickup, connection, typical, pigtail connection, swivel, orientation, transportation, towing bracket, typical, hose, shock, typical, submarine hosing, towing bracket, post starboard fender, product, swivel, dual product, submarine hose, float valve, flotation, spool piece. Alright, tanker speed, moored, SOM, continuity, rules, continuity, STU, hiccup, continuity, speech, termination unit, high water line after 48 hours, continuity, SPM, tanker rail hose, mooring hawser, single anchor loom, mooring, mainline floating hose, submarine marine hose, big tail, continuity, BTU, speech, terminal unit, high water line. Alright, you're single. Well, let's see, SLWT, right? I'm sorry if I don't know all these definitions. I didn't study maritime operations yet. The SLW2 figure 3 with the provide with the other force with the sign of the amphibious operation the provide with the offshore petroleum discharge center. Tanker carrier utility boat with the offshore petroleum discharge center. The standalone system, the SLWTs, are required for the deployment of the offshore petroleum discharge system. They modify for the offshore petroleum discharge system. With the equipment tool carried on the offshore petroleum discharge tanker. These 3 SLWTs are modified to act with the tow tug. The 4th unit provided moves modified to attack the LRB. As soon as the tanker arrived, the equipment stored in the hold of the offloading of the SLWT was taken in support area where the equipment is installed with the amphibious construction battalion, support personnel, welding and removal of the designated tie plates on each of the craft is required. Alright, your SLWT stands for side load warp tugging. Beach terminal units. The equipment set of the beach terminal units should carry out the offshore petroleum discharge system. The deployment set depending on the requirement. One of both the beach terminal unit may be installed. The beach terminal unit may have function of the offshore petroleum discharge system. Figure 5, figure 4 of 4. See the glossary is high water mark termination of the shore petroleum discharge system. The anchor of the shoreward end of the continuity controls the pressure fuel distribution from the hose line of the single anchor loom. Single anchor leg mooring. Skip too many pages. Depending on the requirement of the beach terminal unit that may be of the beach terminal unit that may have of the offshore petroleum discharge system. See the glory, it's high of the watermark terminal A. Termination offshore petroleum discharge of the anchor of the shoreward end of the continuity of the control of the pressure of the fuel flow with the distribution through the hose line of the system. See side the arm loading leg mooring. In this act of the interface between the hose line and the inland petroleum discharge system. The following description of the beach terminal unit. Beach terminal unit steel casting measures 9 feet 10 inches long, 4 by 4 feet 9 inches wide, 6 feet high. Weighs 87,000 pounds, which include 15-pound anchor, 100-foot wire pendant valve where normally stowed on the top of the inside. Internal piping includes stop valve, the pig receiver, the pressure flow control valve, gauges show inlet pressure, outlet pressure, and the pig receiver. The product sample the port is in receipt for the pressure gauge. 3 large gasketed covers bolted on the top of the beach terminal unit enclosure provide access for the internal valve, which cover the in plate for the beach terminal unit, which will flow upright, which can be stored toward or ashore through the surf. Roll bars on the top of the casing should be even the lift points. Slides for the end of the bottom frame are attaching the anchor pendant with the pendants over the restraining collar and floor tow line. Or sample point, outlet pressure, inlet pressure, trap pressure, gauge valve, sample valve base, over plate gasket, rolling gauge, lifting frame, offshore petroleum discharge system, inlet flange, drain pudge, forklift slots, enclosure, pig trap closure, contaminated drain flange anchor and attachment anchor point, gauge panel, inshore petroleum discharge system, outlet flange, and base. Beach terminal unit, that was that. Beach terminal equipment system, use the 2 beach units components of the offshore petroleum discharge system. Beach terminal equipment consists of the following: 2 beach terminal units with 2 15-pound dam for the anchors, 2 40-foot section beach terminal unit hose, hookup hose, 2 sets of 100-foot pendants and fair leads, 2 sets of the special valve operating wrenches, 2 continuity restraining bridles and pendant. Continuity coupling. There are 2 types of sheet floor continuity manufactured offshore petroleum discharge, each with a 6 inside of the diameter of about 8 inches outside of the diameter. There are different handling characteristics for the end of the fitting. Special fitting with a provided with one type or the other. The offshore petroleum discharge continuity itself with the seal and face reinforced elastro meter hose. After the design with a float sink configuration filled with the continuity have the positive buoyancy of about 1.9 pounds per foot. One filled with the water with the petroleum products and sink with the sea floor on the seafloor with it has of the negative buoyancy with about 8 pounds per foot. The continuity coupling consists of the male and female fittings and the coupling of the bolted together with the 6 screw cap screws. The male fitting is swivel the flange of the ensure the ease of the alignment of the female coupling, each of the different is always listed below. Dual product submarine hose line. Submarine hose line community system with the figure 5 supply with the airboard with the warning base tank of the 8 hose assembly, the 1 hose support buoy assembly. Each of the hose section consists of the 2 independent flow path with the 6 inch inside of the diameter. Table 5 of 3, page 13, and K for the semi-ridge of the carcass for the 28 inches outside of the diameter with an air-filled analysis. The submarine hose provides the flow path with the productive swivel of the single arm leg mooring from the floating hose string of the subsurface, the 8 of the hose section, position with the water depth of 200 feet at the single arm loading mooring site. The rigidity of the submarine hose string makes the function live of the arm. It is enough to rotate with the product swivel to tank weather vanes around the single arm loading mooring. Hose figure 5, 6, page 5, 8 are marked with a white band running through the entire length of the end or identified with the types A, P, A, B, A, C, and C. Mooring buoy, mooring howser tanker under the howser to the tanker, immediate floaty buoy, 2 floated hoses for the anchor chain with the unit joint will the anchor and leg swivel the continuity to the beach terminal unit, pigtail hoses, submarine hose, BOW base unit joints, product swivel, mooring base, stern, and seafloor. Product swivel to 6 inch 400 weight WN WFF flange swivel and oil only type AP white band 6 number 300 WN FF flange longitudinal white stripe 6 300 WN type A white band 3 6 300 WN FF flange type B white band 2 6 300 WN FF flange type C white band 2 Alright, type A, P, and type A are marked with a circumferential white band at each end, with the type of the B of the mark with a two circumferential white band at each end of the water, with the depth of the makeup of the hose with the type C with the mark with a circumferential white band at each end of the surface of the support hose, the interface with the floating hose. Pigtail hose and jumper hose, the two single arm loading mooring pigtail hose is trained for the tanker patrolling product with the mooring of the base with the flexible conduity. Each of the two single-arm loading mooring figure 5/7 the pigtail hose for the 320 feet long, similar to the conduity in construction. It can be connected floating conduity end of the sea surface of the single loading. Shit. What was that one? That was CWLT, like single line, single loadable warping tug. Single load warping tug crew after the single arm loading mooring base and on the seafloor both pigtail hose with caped of the blank towing flange to keep the hose afloat with it during deployment. The hoses are stored on all tankers tank with the 10th reel except for the SS Potomac. Number 6, the 300 WN flange with longitudinal white strip, 6-inch diameter, continuous length of the pigtail hose labeled each end, floating hose trained for the product with a tanker manifold, the submarine hub with the hose system, with the compromise with the marine floating hose with the tanker rail high with the main line, floating base with the hose system, with the two 6-inch hose inside hose diameter hose assembly, each 560 feet long. Each assembly contains 14 hose sections of 400 lengths, floating mainline hose section, one tanker rail hose section. Floating mainline hoses are electrically continuous for tanker rail hose, electrically discontinuity. All floating hoses are marked by two longitudinal white strips spaced 120 degrees apart along with their entire length, figure 5/8. MLH label E. Each end longitudinal white strip mainline hosing, floating hose 6-inch diameter, 40 longitude long floating hose, 630 white W for the flange. Her flexible conduity pipeline. There are 4 nautical miles with a 6-inch hose line included with the offshore petroleum discharge system. The high pressure hoses with the ship mount reel with each with a reel with a hole with a 0.5 collapsible holes. 8 reels make up the 4-mile kit with the hose with the are not subject to the corroding, made out of the smooth, high-grade, fuel-resistant synthetic type of the rubber with the damage, but it should be routinely inspected. The hose should be kept stretched with 33% under the normal condition of the use. The hose to fitting. Connections are made with a 6 to 12-inch bolt flange with the connection of the design with a burst of the 2200 psi, 6-inch diameter, 1-inch thick hose of the maximum operating pressure with a 740 psi. Hose weighs about 19.5 pounds per foot with a U.S. Coast Guard hydrostatic pressure test of the 1,114 feet per section, 24,336 feet per hip set. Petroleum is pumped with the 2 positive displacement pumps in the parallel with a 500-gallon pump at each 700 psi. High pressure for the required with a high head loss that result of the delivery of 1,000 gallons per minute and a 6-inch hose over the 4-mile maximum distance to the shore. Section 3, Beach Terminal Unit Procedure. The beach terminal unit deployed with the offshore petroleum discharge tanker over the following procedure. The deployment of the offload all equipment of the site with a tanker with a designated with a single line warping tug for transportation to the beach. When burstable offloaded equipment directly to the shore, if it is not possible, the beach terminal unit will be offloaded with toward shore with the LARCV with the anchor should be stored on top of the beach terminal unit. Should be removed and conveyed and ashore separately. Move to the beach terminal unit with the equipment of the beach terminal unit with the site using a forklift and the other vehicle with the beach terminal unit sites with the site with the beach terminal with the beach terminal with the offshore petroleum discharge system determined with the earlier and playing a location to be suitable for the connection to inland petroleum discharge system. Below the list of preparation rules to follow. Be below the high watermark. Be active for the road and in rough terrain vehicles. Have enough oils for the permanent bearing of the anchor with establishing a dead man capable of holding 37 pounds of tension with establishing the point with a room of the tanker with a single arm loading mooring position, no more than 24,000 feet in the case of a single conduity line, but no more than 2 nautical miles distance to conduity lines. Alright, beach preparation. Preparing beach area for the receiving the offshore patrol and discharge system duty requires equipment of the personal staff with the beach terminal unit and range marker for the lighting and other items support with the installation beach terminal unit. Bulldozers helping to bring in with the duty and ashore with the conjunction with the beach terminal unit. Hook up hose specifically action for each of the area support are given below. Installing beach terminal unit in bermed area with a spill catchment before performing any petroleum oil lubricant operation consult with the local environment coordinator check with the possible existing special permit requirements. Beach terminal unit will be installed with the berm side with the unit with the berm liner figure 5.9 to indicate any of the fuel with a contaminated water spill with a big catcher. The berm area should not be less than 10 to 16 feet with the permit the personnel to move the area inside of the closure while operating the BTU. If the berm floor is sloped, the high side should be seaward. Prepare 8 by 8 by 3 foot hole 100 feet inland with the beach terminal unit. Site with the beach unit anchor. Clear the area between the beach terminal unit. The sea help to connect with a 40-foot hook up hose with a 6-inch ball valve with the BTU beach terminal unit. Install range and marker lights. Install range marker lights. Install the beach terminal unit site with a room permit. The marks large enough, the high enough for the single load warping tug pilot to receive the maximum markers of minimum of 1 mile. This must be at least 100 feet apart. So the maintenance support will appear. If no harbor or other pier space is available to set up an administrative pier within a mile of the beach terminal unit with the duty site with the offshore patrol and discharge service craft, pier should be at least 500 yards of the beach terminal unit. This should not interfere with a single load warping tub bringing the duty to the beach. Anchor, pennant, contaminant line, gloves, global valve of the beach terminal unit, burn line, berms, beach terminal line, base hanger, higher than the containing bladders, beach terminal unit line, hookup hose, main flow, contaminant line, sandbags, no area inside berms, 10 to 10 inches. Berm higher, anchor, pennant, drill pan. Anchoring the BTU. Dig a hole with a 1,500-pound lightweight beach terminal unit anchor, which is buried about 100 feet inland with the beach terminal unit with the dimensions for the hole with a round with the 8 by 8 foot by 3 foot lower anchor with a hole with a shank toward with the beach terminal unit. Bury the anchor conveyor, cover it up to the Jew's harp, and attach with the 100-foot wire with the Jew's harp with an inland end of the beach terminal unit. Operators. After beach terminal unit is installed with the tested Navy personnel with allowing fuel with the remaining operation consist of the monitoring of the flow with the correct operation flow control valve with the routine maintenance of the beach terminal unit. Beach terminal unit with the operation to maintain continuous communications with the tanker and the onshore unit with the radio check with the duty with the regular bi-net control any failure with the radio communications is immediate shutdown with the tanker. Operation Beach Terminal Unit continue until the fuel requirements are met with the interruption of the pumping during the refueling of the tanker with the single arm loading mooring to be connected to the duty string. All other procedures of the Beach Terminal Unit are listed below. Control the beach terminal unit is operated with the Navy crewman with the benefits of the Army and Marine Corps onshore of the beach terminal unit with the crewman and takes the orders of the onshore command unless the other arrangements are worked out reflected in the OPO order. Beach terminal unit crewman is trained to operate the BTU valve to perform certain functions during the pigging with the flowing product with the hydro testing with the line with the Army and Marine Corps should be sufficient failure of the mailer. With the Operation Beach Terminal Unit, the check with the valve alignment, the order function depending on the downstream arrangement, hold with the valve of the blade, with the misaligned valve of the beach terminal unit, could divert with the wrong fluid into the storage bag with contaminated the bag. Disconnect with the beach terminal unit with the method give the duty, retrieve with the determinant of the beach terminal unit with the hook up with the hose, disconnected from the duty, onshore fuel connection by LU. The disconnected first with clear with immediate air with the uncover the beach hookup hose. Duty down with the surface air with the before disconnected them. Be when ready with the disconnect with the beach terminal unit hookup hose with the duty. Secure with the restraining collar with the bridle with the sea floor with the duty end fitting shackle with the bulldozer wrench line. Wire pelican hook with the bridle with the taking the strain with the winch wire. Pelican hook provided the positive control with the release for the conduit with the hose with the conduits are unbolted and female pulling cap attached for the male end of the conduit. Flushing the beach terminal unit. For the beach terminal unit can be returned with the tanker, it must be flushed, drained, and dry by the Navy, the PHIBCB, or Army personnel need with the freshwater supply air pump for the pursuit of the forklift, the crane to till the beach terminal unit, the casing one of the flushing is completed. Unbolt the beach terminal unit, hook up hose from the inlet valve flange, prepare the retrieval of the tanker. Retrieval of the beach terminal unit is prepared with the remove of the recover the PHBCB Army personnel designated tow rig single loading warping tube tub perceive the BTU site. If it appears available to force ashore of the transfer of the beach terminal unit, there is load with a single loading warping tug. They also load the anchor depending of the hookup hose for the other fittings and absent of the pier of the beach terminal unit, the anchor for the pendant for the fitting of the move to the shoreline. Single load warping tub passively forward and wrenching wire of the beach for the small craft. Anchor fittings and pendant are pulled out and lifted on the deck within the A-frame and the tanker of the forward boom of the tanker lift of the beach terminal unit and all its equipment from the single load warping tub for the forward deck. Show the continuity hose characteristics, items, bore size, outside of normal dimension, normal body ends, maximal level of working pressure, burst pressure, electric continuity. Here for your tanker hose, rail hose, floating continuity, submarine hose, pigtail hose, BTU, hookup hose. Alright, section 4, planning and administrative consideration, offshore petroleum discharge system deployment consideration. When offshore petroleum discharge system tanker arrived, the JLOT commanders hold the offshore petroleum discharge deployment conference on the board of the tank with a meeting with the coordinated efforts of the OIC offshore petroleum discharge system. All participating offshore petroleum discharge system deployment elements for the intended review of the offshore petroleum discharge system deployment plan. The refined into existing scenario, working on a last-minute detail of the meeting considers all facts for the offshore petroleum discharge system installation is included. Site surveys. The survey may include the maximum steepness of the bottom of the grade of the single-arm loading mooring, 125 with a good holding potential with a rocky bottom with a 4 nautical mile with a beach termination side of the 2 miles for the 2 product with known depths. Swinging circles of the offshore petroleum discharge system tanker around the single-arm loading moor. Single-arm leg mooring. The swing circle must be 1/2 mile diameter with no bottom hoist with minimum boat traffic in areas except for the security. Continuity route. The route must be freely rocky with escarpment and other bottom holes that would cause the damage. Continuity with the clear of the boat traffic. Communication plan must include the communication network procedures, equipment control, rotation, safety procurement requirements as needed. Product discharge conference before initial pumping of the product. The JLOTS commander will hold the PDC with the pump discharge conference. Will ensure the pumping operation mutual ship-shore understanding procedure review initial over the offshore petroleum discharge. Petroleum oil lubricant communication checklist will also be done. Checklist must be signed with the deployment exercise of the wartime. The mean of the Army Petroleum Operations Officer of the ship master, the pumping master, final quantity. Product delivery schedule will be agreed upon before any of the product discharge offshore petroleum discharge deployment of the conference may be combined with the petroleum product discharge conference. Also, the petroleum discharge conference. The Army of the Marine Corps Quality Control Specialists will inspect the ship product tanks for the tank fuel samples. They will test for the product sample the IAW Mill Handbook 200 to ensure product for the beach pump shore meet specifications. Environmental consideration. The JLOTS commander is responsible for the monitoring, keeping the Office of Petroleum Discharge (OIC) shipmaster informed of weather conditions during deployment recovery operation. Offshore Petroleum Discharge (OIC) will determine where the suspended operation due to the weather during pumping operation. Shipmaster makes the determination for the notified of the Army Marine Corps of the intent of the discontinuing operations. Section 5, Communication Installation. Communication and equipment. The offshore petroleum discharge install the tanker transceiver include with a minimum of 1 each HF, VH, and SSB, UHF transmitter receiver the unit of the general communication offshore petroleum discharge deployment recovery for pumping operation. There are 20 portable handheld 5-watt transceivers, 30 to 75 megahertz. They are more than more part of the tow. PHIBCP personnel on the tanker support craft ashore will use the similar radio of the addition of the standard military VHF radio. The deployment recover the Army onshore with the PRC-7 equivalent and old VHF radios have a range of about 4 miles of tanker deck level. The operating life is 6 to 8 hours. Offshore petroleum discharge operation requirements. Offshore petroleum discharge and recovery long range secure tactical voice communication is not usually required. Operational communication requires sufficient range to reach the inshore petroleum discharge system onshore and the tanker, which may be in excess of 20 miles. Also, tactical reasons, sea voice communication may be required. Army Petroleum Distribution Commander ensure that the communication equipment is compatible with the offshore petroleum discharge tanker. If the communication equipment is not compatible with the product of the scheduling offshore loading operation, the Army unit will provide necessary equipment. Warning, any person who notices unsafe conditions authorized radio of the tanker to stop pumping onshore communications. No. Onshore communication only through all three of the offshore petroleum discharge planning, the deployment and recovery of the operation offshore petroleum discharge and system installation, recovery operation or control with the soldier VHF, the walkie-talkie, handheld radios, at least 6 channels. Onshore fuel distribution system delivers for the beach terminal unit to the location on shore with existing one or more duty storage facility pumping stations, as well as related monitoring control systems. Generalist communications are required on the onshore fuel distribution operation given the below ship shore to operation fuel dispensing duty supply with the duty pump stations operation duty security dedicated frequency but must be allotted to support these functions. Technical petroleum terminal dispatch center control of the overall system of the dispatch center acts as the physical final scheduling transportation control center and may be located up to 100 miles inland. Tanker will stop pumping whenever the communication within the beach is listed for 1 mile. Pumping communication and control of the must be dedicated to the communication pumping network, backup of the network with it may be manned with the operating every second of the tanker car divided with the top pump with an emergency. Tanker has pump down, shut down button to the relocation, one of which may either the shutdown of the pumps under the emergency condition, either the loss of lubricant pump damage of the always use the tanker car. Tanker man closed at least one buttons, usually 2 buttons during the pumping operation. However, they will not react until it is directed by the beach. Any person along the flow path authorized to give the stopping pumping order to the tanker if it notices have the unsafe condition. Tanker may shut down the pumping operation because of the equipment of the other problems on the board with the ship, but will always arrive at the beach as soon as possible. Army Marine Corps must anticipate all problems, operational procedures, sequence events of the operation offshore petroleum discharge system deployment is as follows. Offshore petroleum discharge system site surveys, UCTs, other underwater units. Tanker arrives and anchors. Air arrival conference is held. Deploy tanker mooring area. Single arm loading mooring area with the duty route marker buoys. A surveyed area. First 2 of the single line warping tugs are outfitted with the 2 tugs assigned to assist the tanker, and then 2 of the spread mooring ketting of the 2-quarter anchor of the tanker maneuvers will help the 2 tugs in the 4-point mooring. All 4 single-load warping tubs are pull conduity of the tanker to deploy as much 4 miles of the flexible pipeline to the beach. Install a beach terminal unit in the berm if necessary. Conduity is pressure tested. When tanker is within 2 miles of the beach terminal unit, the 2 flow lines can be laid and remove the kinks and the twist. Connect each terminal unit product discharge confident of the tanker is held. Within 48 hours of arrival, the tanker should be ready to be pumped. Petroleum products are directed by the user. Commander beach rate at 1.2 million gallons per 200-hour day. Within 7 days with the divers, the single load warping tub and assistant of the single arm loading single arm load mooring can be installed to provide uninterrupted all-weather product delivery. Alright, Chapter 6, Tactical Petroleum Terminal Testing.